Hi, everyone. This is Jerry with Teachers Retirement. We are here to talk about understanding drop. Thank you so much for joining us today. Again, my name is Jerry. I'm with the Teachers Retirement System. With me on the other side of the screen is my colleague, Cliff Horn, who will be answering questions today in the questions box. He'll be sending you a couple of things in the webinar chat, a link to this recording that we've already posted on our recordings site, and the PDF, which is listed there as well. Also, a couple of brochures and things we're going to talk about today. If you have any questions, please type your question into the questions box. We will see it and we will answer. I'll do some questions at the end. But if there's something specific you need addressed, something specific like what is my drop window? What will my numbers look like? We'll need to look you up for the answer to that. So you'll need to reach out to us at asktrsl.org so we can reach out to you directly. So what we'll be talking about in today's short webinar, we're going to be defining drop. What exactly is drop? We'll talk about the drop window, requirements for eligibility for drop. They are similar but different from regular retirement eligibility. What exactly happens in drop? So what's going on? What's being deposited? Drop interest rates. I'd like to use the word interest with a little I as a participation of the program after you've completed drop. Your account is eligible to earn interest. Options after drop participation and questions to ponder, as in, is drop best for me? It may not be best for everyone, but we all make different choices. It's a good idea for some of us. So a few things to know about drop. First of all, educate yourself. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here today to learn more about drop, what happens to your salary while you're in drop, and we're going to talk about what exactly is being deposited in your drop account. It is not your 8% contributions. It's what would have been your retirement check is deposited into your account. Don't listen to your friends. I'm sure your friends are fantastic humans. I know I've got quite the village, but what's right for your friend may or may not be right for you. We all have different circumstances. There's nothing wrong with getting a general consensus from your friends and colleagues and family of, was drop best for you? What do you wish you had known or done differently when it comes to drop? But as far as things with numbers and dates, as far as drop windows opening and closing, or how much is your drop going to be? What are your options? When to apply? You want to get that from TRSL or from your employer directly. And there's a form for everything. As educators, you are very familiar with that. There's forms for entering drop, retiring after drop, taking funds out of drop, whatever you're going to be doing, there are forms for that. And there's separate forms that your employer will have you fill out along the way as well. So what exactly is drop? The first thing to know is drop is optional. Even though people tell you you must do it, you should do it, or you got to do it, you don't have to. It is an optional program that allows you to save what would have been your retirement check while you're still working. This takes place during a specific participation period called the drop window. More on that in a moment. During drop, your monthly benefit, what would have been your retirement check, is deposited each month into a special account. So if you were to retire, and let's say your retirement check would be $2,000 a month, every month, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. That's going to increase up to 3 years of 36 months participation time. That's the maximum time to participate in drop. That is not also the minimum. The minimum is just 1 day. Now, no one really says, hey, I just need a day of drop. That's all. That's just perfect for me. But what does that mean? Life happens, right? We've all seen that these last few years. So that allows you to be able to retire at any time during your drop participation period. So you could be 6 months into drop, a year and a half into drop, 2 years into drop, and you can retire. You do not have to complete all 3 years of drop. The frozen benefit is what's locked in based on your years of service credit and your highest average compensation going into drop. That's your 3 or 5 consecutive highest years of pay. Now, while your decision to participate is irrevocable, remember you can terminate employment at any time during drop and, of course, after drop. You can apply up to 6 months in advance when your drop window opens. Let's talk about the drop window. You've no doubt heard about it. It is the 1 3-year period of time in which you can participate in drop, starting from the first day of eligibility, when you're first eligible. You don't choose your drop window. It chooses you based on your eligibility, based on your age, based on your years of service. It's the one time your window pops open for you to participate. Whether you're ready or not, it opens, and that's the one time you can participate. Let's go a little deeper on that. For our regular plan members, which should be pretty much everyone listening to us right now, those that joined our system prior to January 1st, 2011, we're seeing most of this first group right now coming up to drop. Your drop window may open at age 60 with 10 years, or 55 with 25 years, or any age at 30 years. Those are not choices. It's wherever your window opens, which we have examples on our next page. I do want to point out, and I'm going to circle back to this in a few minutes, for the group that's age 60 with 10 years, that is at the 2% benefit factor. The other two are calculated at the 2.5% benefit factor, which is the higher of the two benefit factors. So people with a 2% benefit factor, a few things to consider we'll talk about in a little while. Is drop best for me at the 2%, or should I retire at the 2.5%? For those that joined our system between 2011 and June 30th, 2015, 60 with 5 years for drop, and that is at the 2.5%, and on or after July 1, 2015, age 62 with 5 years. But please note, these are not choices. It's when your drop window opens, which you don't have say-so over. It's based on your time of years in the system and your age. Let's look at a few examples and you'll see what I mean. So Judy, and everyone's window may open at a different time. So you see 25 and 55, right? So you may not hit 25 and 55 at the same time. If you do, awesome. I'm going to give you 20 virtual cool points. But let's say you're 25 and 55. That doesn't happen to most people. You might be like Judy. You might be 58 by the time you have 25 years. So she wouldn't have been eligible at 57 with 24 years, right? You have to have both. She already had the 55, but she did not have the 25 yet. So 55 was waiting on her to get to 25. Our friend Bruce here, he had the 55 at 29 years. So he was at 25 years. He wasn't of age. 26, 27, 28, still wasn't 55 yet. But 55 at 29 is when his window opened. Our friend Tasha here, her window opened at age 60 at 19 years because she had at least 10 years of service. Now, here's a couple of examples on how people, our friends Sam and Anna, here's how some of these people and many of us and people we've talked to have misunderstood, and you might miss a drop window. So Sam thought, okay, yeah, my window opened at 60, but I'm going to wait until I get to 25 years to enter drop. So Sam's particular window opened at 60 at 22 years of service. He waited to 25 years. He's no longer eligible. But Sam shouldn't lose any sleep because he would have been at the 2% benefit factor. So Sam's probably going to come out ahead by not participating in drop. He'll be at the higher 2.5% benefit factor for retirement calculation. And let's look at our friend Anna. This is probably one of the most common ones. Anna thought when she got to her window at 55, she was at 28 years. And she said, well, I'm just going to wait till 30. Drop is a window that's going to close on you. It's not like a door you can walk through anytime you're eligible. So Anna waited to 30 years. So she was 55 at 28. She waited to 57 at 30. She can still participate, but she's only got 1 year left. So we see how our drop window moves around. And you can see on page 2 of your member statement, which is on member access, page 2 of your member statement will show you the school year, not the specific date, the school year in which your drop window opens. So if I enter drop, what is the same? How different is it? What is the same? Well, you continue to work and draw a salary. You're earning and using leave. You're still eligible for raises or promotions, and you can even change jobs or employers. You just don't want to have a break in service. That's where things would end as far as drop deposits. What's different? Well, first, friends, I'll say you got a little skip in your step. You're like, hey, I can do this. There's the light. There's the tunnel. Here I go. You feel differently. And that's actually true. This first one is the big one. Neither you nor your employer make contributions to TRSL. No service credit is earned while you're in drop. I like to call this the swap for drop. You're swapping one opportunity for another. You can't do both of these things at the same time. You can't save what would have been your retirement check while still working and contribute to TRSL to increase said retirement check. So you're swapping one opportunity for another. We're saving what would have been your retirement check while you're still working in a 3-year drop participation period. Up to 3 years, you can retire at any time. No service credit earned. So what does that mean? Couple of things. First of all, if you enter drop at 30 years, for example, you work 3 years of drop and retire, your retirement is calculated on 30 years, not 33. You worked 33 years, your school, your family, everybody says you worked 33 years, your body sure says it, but for our purposes, it's 30 because of that swap. That also means you were not paying into our system. So that means we were not taking out the 8% member contribution per month. So that's going to be in your paycheck. So that's actually going to go up a little bit. So it's almost like you'll almost have like a little raise, but you may save that on your own, or you may spend it or put it into a program like deferred compensation. So just reach out to your employer if that's a possibility you'd like to consider. Your salary is not reported to us while you're in drop, so we don't know if your salary goes up or down. And your retirement benefit is frozen, and that determines which one of the retirement options you chose. That's what's deposited into your account. If you've seen our benefit estimates, where you'll see what the options are, maximum, option 1, or our lifetime beneficiary benefit, where someone would receive a check for the rest of their life after you've passed away for each month, we're looking at options 2, 2A, 3, 3A, or 4, 4A. Whichever one of those numbers you select, and you can see what they look like on your estimate, that is what would be going into your drop account. Let's talk about drop interest for a moment. I said earlier, let's use I with a little I for interest. Your drop account, once you've completed your 3 years of drop, whether you work after drop or you retire after drop, as long as it's with TRSL, it's eligible to earn interest. Now, it's in a very conservative account and a liquid asset money market account called LUDROP, not for Louisiana, but liquid asset. It did earn some interest last year, and that's posted monthly. 2023's rate was 3.4197%. So keep an eye on that. And if you'd like to see a history of those interest rates, you can certainly check that out on our website. What are your options after participating in drop? Well, you can terminate employment / retire. If you retire, you start receiving your monthly check and you begin your drop account withdrawals. Now, when we terminate employment / retire, that monthly check is going to be on the first of the month, and our drop account withdrawals, there's lots to consider, right? I'd recommend you watch a webinar we have called Drop and Beyond, where we talk about your options after drop. What would you do with those drop account withdrawals? Would you take it out annually? Would you take it out in a lump sum? Would you roll it all over? Take some, roll some? Maybe you take it out monthly, which would be on the 15th of the month. Now, remember, Our drop account is going to run out at some point in time. It's a savings account, basically, and at some point it will zero out. Our retirement check is lifetime for the rest of our life on the first of every month. If instead you continue to work, and remember, we can terminate employment within our drop period as well. That certainly is okay. If we continue to work after completing drop for 3 years, drop deposits end. We can resume contributions, which means we will start taking 8% out of your check again. So what does that mean? That means I'm not going to make my drop account grow because I'm not still putting into that drop account, but I'm earning a supplemental benefit. If you find yourself working after drop, a year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, you want to know your value. Get an estimate from TRSL to find out if I work at once you're on or after drop, not before, but once you're on or after drop, is working a year after drop, is that another $72 a month for the rest of my life for my retirement benefit? Or if I work 2 years after drop, is that another $168 a month for the rest of my life in my monthly benefit? So you want to have those options to consider. When it comes to considering if drop is right for you, it's a good idea for many people. You do want to consult a financial advisor. Cliff and I, we're great. We're smart. We're wonderful people. Financial advisors, we are not. Absolutely not. Cliff majored in marketing. I majored in public relations. So don't ask us for financial advice. We also can't give you financial advice for legal reasons. So there are 3 reasons you would want to stop and think, hey, is drop really the best move for me? And one of these I alluded to a little bit earlier. Will my benefit be calculated at 2 or 2.5%? So some of you reaching drop at age 60 with 10 years, your benefit for drop would be calculated at 2%, whereas regular retirement would be at 2.5%. So you may want to think, is this in my best interest? Do I want to do drop at the 2%, which at some point the account will zero out and my benefit will always be at the 2%? Or do I want to not enter drop and do the 2.5%, have a higher monthly benefit for the rest of my life, but not have a drop account? A lot of things to consider. What if I receive a significant salary increase or change of position while I'm in drop? You may be coming up on, you might be assistant to someone or director of something you're right next in line for. You might be changing positions from teaching to classroom or K-12 to college. Those types of changes in positions tend to yield 10, 15, maybe 20% or more. So what some people do is they will bypass, they will not do drop. You don't get to postpone drop, not do drop, and then have all of those years calculated on the higher rate instead of having just those years going into drop calculated, because we do not recalculate the 25 or 30 years, for example, before drop, even if you're working and making more after drop. That's why some people may want all 33 or 35 or 40 years. How long do I plan to work after my drop participation ends? If you know right here and now, I'm working 38 years or I'm working 40 years, drop is not your friend. I'll show you in a minute. Yes, I understand. 30 plus 10 is 40, 25 plus 15 is 40. But I'll show you in a minute, it's 2 different calculations multiplied together. So before I go into these examples, turn to my colleague because we share a brain. So I know he had a thought that he wanted to share with me because I saw him writing something down. Okay. He says, smart, one of us, yes. We do share a brain, literally. Like we each have half the brain, you put it together and then stuff happens. So let's take a look at 2 versus 2.5%, as I mentioned. So you may consider, if you're in that first group, and not as many of you are, entering drop at the 2% rate. This person right here, their drop was calculated to be a total of anticipated 3 years of service, 3 years of drop, $39,960. They're going to have that $39,960 plus, once they retire, let's say they don't work after drop, $1,110 per month. So let's say that they didn't do that If they waited to get to 20 years to get to the 2.5% rate, so now we have 5 more years in the system and we're at 2.5% benefit factor, we're at $1,850 per month. We don't have a drop benefit, but we have $740 more per month. The next step with our financial advisor would be, how long is it going to take us in retirement to catch up to not having $39,960 with that $740 divided into it? All you math teachers have already figured it out. Me, on the other hand, not so much. So maybe it might be 5 or 6 years, or maybe it might be 15 years. I think it's probably a single digit year. Anyway, so you'd want to think about that. We did the math with some people back in Terrebonne Parish just a couple weeks ago, and there were some people, oh, okay, well, you'd catch up to this in only 6 years if you didn't do drop, whatever their drop account was. And one member I did the math on, and we looked at it, and I was like, ooh, 28 years should take you to catch up to not doing drop. So it's a decision you want to make with your family and your financial advisor. Here is a little bit, this is for you English teachers out there, to drop or not to drop. It's a little Shakespeare. Let's say this member enters drop at 30 years. Their average compensation is $4,000. So remember, that is one of our calculating factors. So we take our year times our highest average, which is our 3 or 5 year average. For many of you, it's 3, times our benefit factor. In this case, it's 2.5%. Those 3 numbers multiplied together is $3,000 a month. So this person, while they participated in drop, if they chose the maximum option, let's say, every month, $3,000 went into their account. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, etc. So that kept growing over a 36-month period up to 3 years. And let's say they worked 10 years after drop. At that point, their average went from $4,000 a year to $4,500 a year, because likely 13 years later, they are making more. That calculates out to $1,125. So what this means is they're going to have this 10 years calculated added to the 3,000. So now we're at $4,125 per month for the retirement benefit. Plus, we have access to our drop account. Okay. Now, let's say this member did not enter drop. They worked 40 years straight through, did not have a drop account. Now their benefit every month is as if they were still working. $4,500 per month for this person, not $4,125. So they would want to do the math with a financial advisor or a trusted professional. In my life, that is my Uncle Mike. He is an accountant, helps me with all the things with numbers. So in summary today, and we thank you for joining us, I'm going to just wrap up a little bit, see if we have any questions. Cliff has put some really great things into the chat that you'll want to check out as far as the webinar recordings, the handbook on drop. And I would definitely recommend you watch Drop and Beyond. We're also going to be doing some live webinars this summer in June and in July. We just sent an email about that not even an hour ago, I think, hour and a half maybe. So check that out. And we're going to be planning for your retirement. We'll do one called Drop and Beyond. And we'll also do one called TRSL and SSA, in which we have a Social Security good friend of ours joining in to talk about all kinds of things that are important to our members for the SSA. So in summary, remember, Drop is an optional program. It allows you to save a retirement nest egg while you continue to work. Your drop window up to 3 years, it's not a requirement, it's the one and only time in your career to participate and is unique to each member. Not everyone enters drop at the same time. There may be some similarities, but sometimes they can be different or based on your birthdays. Once you terminate employment/retire, you can begin withdrawals from your drop account. So keep that in mind as well. What things can you do now? Register for member access, submit important documents to our office. We'll need things like Social Security cards, birth certificates, divorce separation decrees, community property settlements. Now's a good time to update your contact information and check to see whom is listed as your beneficiary. You can update that not online, but with a Form 3. You can also get a retirement estimate online. You can do it yourself at our member access or if you're not able to do so at Member Access, through TRSL's Form 10, you can complete and submit. Member Access has lots of cool things that you can check out. You can update your name, mailing, email address, estimate future benefits, view your annual statements. Why, you can even apply for retirement or drop here. You can view that drop account and watch it grow, and you can view your beneficiaries. But if you need to make changes, remember that's a Form 3. Creating a benefit estimate if you're not yet in drop. If you're in or after drop, we're still working on that as far as a benefit estimate for our drop members. But going into drop or retirement, you can definitely do those yourself at Member Access. You're just a couple of clicks away. Under My Estimate, select Estimate Your Retirement Benefit. You'll enter your beneficiary, your desired retirement date, and select your months of contract, not based on how you're paid, but how you work, 9, 10, 11, or 12, and click Create Estimate right at your fingertips. Remember, we have so many resources for you online. You can find lots of things there, our brochures, forms, newsletters, and webinars, and we're updating our frequently asked questions as we get more questions that we know that are important for you, our members. So check us out on YouTube. We have all kinds of different videos that we've produced, from very short videos to very long videos, depending on how much time you have, how far down the rabbit hole do you want to go on retirement, drop, applying for retirement, Social Security, etc. Check us out on Facebook and on X. And remember that we are here for you. And I would like to say to everybody, it is Thursday. So I want to tell everybody happy Friday Eve. And I hope everyone has a good rest of the end of the school year. Yay! Getting in those grades, finishing up soon, and getting to take some time for yourself. So let us know if you have any questions. Remember that we are here for you. Thank you so much for your time and your attention. Y'all have a great day and enjoy the rest of your May. Bye-bye.